Hello and welcome to the Business Spotlight series. I'm your host Anu Khanna, and today I'm joined by the lovely Ramona Hazan, who owns and runs a food manufacturing company called Ramona's Kitchen, which boasts an award-winning and retail brand called Ramonas. Ramona, as I mentioned, I've been doing some research about you, and is that correct that you started your business with just 20 pounds with a one-bedroom flat and you did not know how to cook? So very intrigued to tell us about your journey. How did that happen?
It is true. And when you put it like that, it almost sounds a little bit superhero-ish, but it's not. I think it was a little bit, I was in my 20s and my husband and I were in a little one-bedroom flat. My background was actually, I was a computer engineer, and my dad had food manufacturing companies when I was growing up. And so when I wanted to start a business, the sort of natural thing would be to be in food. And I thought, well, my Mediterranean history background, my dad's Egyptian, grandparents Turkish, we ate hummus and falafels all the time. And so it was a natural thing to do. But yes, all I needed to do was buy a Magimix, really. And at the time, it was a little 1 kilo Kenwood that used to make the hummus. The first few times I made it, it was not very good. And my friends all said, God, don't go doing something like that when you've got a really great career in computers. It's all safe. Don't go messing it up. But I went back to the drawing board, did the recipes a few more times, and subjected my husband to a few years of bowls of chickpeas around the house and a freezer in the lounge and just, whatever space we could use. And yes, it was a very small kitchen. But it's amazing what you can do with just one Kenwood. It just requires a lot of work and sometimes a little bit of a lack of sleep. I used to deliver the hummus. I used to make it at 4 o'clock in the morning and then deliver it straight to the shops in Soho on my way to work, which, one can do in your 20s. I'm not sure I would sign up for it now, but I think, it sounds glamorous, but that is how it started. And no, I could not cook. In fact, some of my childhood friends all go, it's beyond us that you have a food business. But I think I've developed that skill over the years and came to realize that I have a knack for combining flavors and spices, and it worked. 20 years later, we're still going.
Amazing. So 20 years, from 20 pounds to millions that the company is making now. So what do you attribute this success to?
I think it's very easy to look at somebody who's 20 years in and go, what's the one thing? I don't think there ever is one thing. I think it's accepting the fact that when you start that business, it is a long road and it is a tiring road. And it's not just the perseverance that we talk about with our kids. If you hear the word no, try again. It's not that. It's the willingness to be flattened and then yet again try again and then be flattened again and try again. And it's that sort of mentality that says keep going, don't stop, and don't assume that in 2 years' time, when you've hit a certain level, all your problems are going away. They're not. They're just going to change. And it's that perseverance that I think is so important. And I mean, I often describe it as sort of little pieces of paper. You have every little thing you do is just another piece of paper on a pile. And each one individually doesn't really make such a difference. But if you put them all together, you've got at the end of it this big, hard brick that you can stand on without breaking it. And that is, I think, what the trick is. It's just going and doing lots and lots and lots of different things and understanding that not one thing is going to just turn it over. 1 minute you're going to be at 20 pounds and the next minute you're at millions of pounds turnover. It's just not that forgiving. It's just ongoing individual things that all by themselves don't feel like anything per se, but together create a foundation for a business.
Yeah, really well said. Really well said. So, Ramona, there are a lot of business owners who will be listening to this interview. What would your advice be? What would you say have been your learnings in the last 20 years that other business owners can learn from?
I think between my learnings and learnings of other people that I've seen of late, in smaller businesses, some of the things I would definitely warn against is don't assume that you need millions and millions and millions of pounds to start a business. We don't have to be raising millions of pounds. Start the business. Check really get to know your business, learn the product that you're doing, become intimate with that product. Because I mean, I'm in food, so it's a recipe and it's a product quality, but it's so important to be absolutely one with the business. It's not, and don't give away an endless amount of equity in the first 5 minutes. It's you're going to need more money. You're going to need a lot more money, and you don't even know it yet. And so just give yourself a chance to learn the business, grow it, check that it is a business. It's so easy to say, well, this is going to be amazing. You know, I make the best quiche on earth and my family love it when they come for tea. And then you realize that actually you can't sell the quiche that you make for your family because it's just too expensive to make. But you started and somebody's making this quiche, and then you think, oh, you know what, I'll just work at a loss for a while. But when I get that big listing, just slow it down a little bit. Just get to know the business foundations, and definitely watch profit. I find a lot of small businesses have now suddenly felt like they're tech companies. You know, you don't need profit for years and years and years. And I'm like, no, you do. Watch your profit. Get profitable when you're small, so as you grow, you remain profitable. That futuristic profit, you'll guard a business before you get there. So those, I think, are the things that I learned along the way. And the last one, I suppose, is cash. Make sure you've got money in. You can't breathe without money. And if you're not breathing, you're not making the right decisions. So I guess those are my few nuggets. Each
Yeah, no,
one's big.
100%. As Alan Mills said, right, that turnover is vanity, profit is sanity, and cash is king.
Yeah, it really is. And it is so true. It is so true. And not futuristic profits and not futuristic cash, the actual stuff that's in your bank.
Yes.
I think
Yeah.
that's got to be it.
I completely agree with you. I've seen business owners, Ramona, where the papers are showing the company's profitable. You know, there's a lot of turnover, but there's no cash. How do
And
you
worse,
run
they're
the
not
business?
paying themselves.
Yeah.
You know, I think that same vein of cash being in the business also relates to your home and your own self. You can say, I'll pay myself last and I'll pay myself late, but never paying yourself means you're not actually, the business is not profitable. If it's profitable without your salary, it's not profitable. It needs to pay you. You need to be able to survive in order to be able to breathe and move the business forward. You need clarity. So if you're worried about your home finances, but you want to try and build the business, how can you focus on it? You've got no oxygen. It's just, it doesn't work.
Yeah, bills still need to be paid.
Bills need to be paid at home and at work, you know. So I think those are like quite common mistakes that I think entrepreneurs make, and it's a shame because it's hard and it kills the business. So all that hard work, all those sleepless nights land up being nothing, and that hardly feels, you know, fair.
Yeah. No, no, totally, 100%. That's a great advice. What would you say are some of the common misconceptions, you know, business owners have before they start the business or even when the business is running?
I mean, there's always my favorite ones, which are, you know, lucky you to own a business. You know, you don't have to set your own no one sets your salary. You can pay yourself what you want. You can set your own time. You can go on holidays whenever you want. No boss. I mean, how untrue are all of those? I mean, literally not one of them is true. You do pay yourself last, and the business is all consuming and takes up all your time and your mind and your brain and your sleep. So it is those things that you just don't realize when you're starting it. People say, what would you tell your 25-year-old self? And I'd be like, don't do it. It's so hard. It's not nearly as simple and fun and exciting as you think it is. It's hard work, and it's all consuming. And you don't have a boss, but you have customers who become your boss. And employees who become your boss, because your responsibility to them becomes enormous. You're now not only worried about your own livelihood, but their livelihood. And all these things become an all-consuming being that is quite literally like having another child. You are now protective of it like you are of a child. And it's just as draining and consuming. And so don't go in there thinking this is just a few years of hard graft. It's not. It's going to take over your whole life. Super rewarding. It's not that it's not worth it, but you just have to go in with your eyes open, knowing it's taking over. It's going to take, and it won't ask you when it wants to go faster or slower. And usually it goes faster when you can't. And that's, those are the things. You need to be fluid, really, really fluid, because it's going to throw things at you that you're not going to be expecting at all.
Yes, 100%. Such a great advice, to really be mentally prepared on to what to expect, because sometimes this rosy picture is painted. It's not all hunky-dory. Yeah.
Exactly. You're gonna show this podcast of me and go, wow, look at her. After 20 years, the business is a success. We're the number one hummus brand in the UK. Amazing. Look at that, a 20-year overnight success. But it's not. It's 20 years of ups and downs and spaghetti. I mean, it's not one bit as easy as it looks. And I think anyone who knows that at least can go into it and ask advice. Listen to these sorts of things. Ask people who have done it and listen to their answers, because even though it's different to what you think is going to happen, it's very true. It's very, very, very true.
Yes. Like you said, 20 years overnight success. So when there is success, there is 20 years of hard work, effort.
Exactly. You see the
behind it.
peak above the water. You don't see the iceberg underneath the water. Or what's the other analogy? Like a duck that's swimming frantically underwater. The pedals are going, but the top looks graceful and is flowing around. It's not. It never is. Any of the successes that I think we see or hear about, all are wrought with hard work, lack of sleep, exhaustion, problems. And the biggest piece of advice is just move with it. Don't, make decisions quickly, but understand that tomorrow you might be making another decision, and it might be the exact opposite of today's decision, and it's okay. It's absolutely okay.
Yes, you shared a great analogy about the iceberg, because what's visible is on the top, and people don't see how much effort has gone underneath because it's not visible.
Yeah. And it looks so glamorous. I mean, I've got friends who look at my social media posts and they go, wow, what a glamorous life you lead. You have nothing going on except podcasts, and you go to events. And I'm like, you understand, I'm a mother of two. I have a household, a husband, and the business. And so all you're seeing is that pretty little apple that goes when I get dressed up to go to an event ceremony. But actually, there's a whole life going on around it. And sometimes it's crappy. And despite my big smiles, maybe I'm having the worst day ever. It's not always as rosy as it looks.
Yeah, no, I completely resonate with that. So tell us a bit more about that. You've got 2 kids, husband, business. How do you even strike your work balance harmony, as they say now?
I mean, I think no one's clever enough to strike that balance. I genuinely believe that. I think it is always an effort. I think that there is sacrifices to be made, and you spoke about what entrepreneurs should probably look to understand before they start their businesses, or if they're in the process of starting it. It's sacrifices. Something gets sacrificed along the way. You might spend less time with your kids. You might not go to all the sports days. You might, and this is definitely going to happen, have something going wrong at work on the exact same day as one of your children falls and cracks their skull and needs to go to A&E. It's never on different days. It's an amazing thing.
Murphy's Law, eh?
It's just amazing. And I do often get asked that in terms of being a woman entrepreneur and founder. And I think I will answer easily and say it's not any different for me as it is for my husband, who works just as hard and sacrifices just as much time with the family for career. So it's not that it's different because I'm a woman, although maybe the school phones me first. But other than that, it is just about understanding that you are going to sacrifice something. You're building 2 things. You're building a life and a home and a family, and you're building a business. They both take the same amount of effort, so something has to give. If you're building the business, then you're maybe not at home for bedtime. If you are at home for bedtime, something might go wrong at work. And you have to accept that you cannot be brilliant at both. And the more you try, the more you fail. It just becomes too stressful. And so sometimes you just have to, I've got 2 daughters, they're teenagers now. So my message to them for the future is, you see my product on the shelf, you are proud of what's being built, you understand intimately that sometimes creates a sacrifice from the whole family, and you land up being a bit of a role model in terms of you can't do both. So this is why the family are giving this up. And I feel it's usually a group event and we manage, we make do. We make do. Sometimes the holidays are spent on the side of a pool with a laptop open, and that's it, you know. It becomes, but it teaches our youth that actually it's not all glamorous. And sometimes, you know, yes, you're supposed to be on holiday, but you have to be on calls and you have to answer questions, and that's how it works.
Yeah, it's a
Easy job.
continuous trade-off or a balancing act,
Yeah.
ongoing continuously. Is that the biggest challenge for your business, Ramona?
No, I think the biggest challenge for the business is growth. You know, you're constantly moving forward. And I think we all struggle with what's coming in the future. Everybody wants the future to look better. And we don't ever stop to look back and go, well, what's been accomplished in the last 10 years or the last 1 year? I think everybody struggles with the fact that we've all got this to-do list that is never ending. And this, you know, everything that's big wants to be bigger, no matter how big it is. And so suddenly you're always looking at what you haven't accomplished yet. And I think what we need to do is make the effort. And really, it is a struggle. Everybody forgets this. You have to just stop and go, a year ago, 5 years ago, what did we say we were going to accomplish? We've accomplished it. Let's acknowledge that we've accomplished it, because so many times we're going, oh my God, we've still got this deadline and we wanted more listings by now. And you know what I want in the next 3 years? I want, you know, world domination. And then you don't say, but hold on a second, 3 years ago, you just wanted this listing and you got it. Or you wanted to accomplish, I don't know, profitability or something, whatever that goal is, notice achieving it, because that's the hardest part for me. You know, I think that's the biggest struggle, I think, for a business.
Yes. Yes, to be able to see how far you have come. It's not just about where you're going, it's also where you come from. And then to be able to celebrate those milestones along the way.
Exactly. We've been known to have Prosecco Fridays.
Oh, lovely. I like
you know,
that.
and I think it's important, although I will caveat that with the fact that it's not people using machines, et cetera, et cetera. It's all very healthy. But I will say it's so important. We need to acknowledge and celebrate the good things. And, you know, you can't but look, for myself, at looking at the brand and how accepted it is on the market at the moment. You know, you can't but be grateful, you know, and say, but for the grace of God, this could have gone the other way just as easily as it went this way, you know?
Yeah. Yes, totally. Gratitude is a massive thing. No, really good, Ramona. Thank you very much for all your advice and your inputs for all the business owners, especially women who are watching and getting inspiration from you. Any parting words before we close?
I would just say, be brave. Just do it. You know, don't be scared. Don't hold back. You know, just go. Expose yourself. That's my new word this year. Expose yourself. I know it's hard, and I know it's hard to step into the sunlight and be, you know, open to people critiquing, but just do it. Just go ahead. Be brave. You're great, and it's all about how you feel.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for today, your time, Ramona. It was great meeting you, learning more about your entrepreneurial journey. And those who are watching, just do it. And as Ramona said, expose yourself. Just go for it.
Exactly. Thank you for having me, really.
Yes. Thank you, Ramona.